Ta-da! It's me. Anyway, the fan on my fridge went out the other day. What was it, 2 nights ago? And I almost lost my milk. Almost lost my meat. But thankfully I saved my meat. Got the fan fixed just in time. But my milk went kind of sour. So instead of throwing the milk out, I am going to make cream cheese. Right now I have about a quart or a gallon of milk in here, and I'm trying to get it up to 175 degrees. Need to get it that high, and when it does, you'll start seeing bubbles around the edges. And we have it on medium so that it doesn't scorch the milk, but it heats it up. So I had no clue what to do for my show tonight, and I'm taping this the day before, so tomorrow night is tonight. Anyway, I'm making cream cheese, and I'll show you how. All you need is your milk, and then we have 2 cups of buttermilk and 2 tablespoons lemon juice. Those we will put in here after it gets up to temperature, which is pretty darn soon. I went downtown today and I was looking for cheese rennet to make cottage cheese, but lo and behold, nobody had it. But this is what I did find. I found a pork shoulder roast. Look at that price. $1.19 a pound. This thing is 8, almost 9 pounds, and it only cost me 10 bucks. I bought 2 of them. There's the other one, all chopped up. This is a picnic roast, but who cares? Sausage at the stores are going, here in Aberdeen, are going for like $3.50 per pound. Well, we're going to make our own sausage with our hand crank meat grinder. So I've got one cut up already, and I will cut the other one up while Angry Old Timer starts the grinding. And once we get all this ground, we will add seasonings and everything to it and mix it up, and then we'll divide it into bags and put it in the freezer. So while he's grinding that up, and he'll start that, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like as it's being ground, we are going to check on our milk. Right now it's about 155. Oh, it's climbing. 165. Almost up there. Now you want to heat your milk up to kill any bacteria that may have gone into it. And it also kind of pasteurizes it at the same time, but it's a way for the bacteria that is in the cultured buttermilk to activate. It activates with the heat of the milk. So as soon as this is up there, which should be pretty short, okay, that's about good. So we're going to turn this off, and now I'm going to set the camera right here. Okay, we're going to pour in our buttermilk. Now you want the cultured buttermilk because the cultured has the live bacteria and enzymes that you need to actually make the cheese. Now in my neighborhood, I don't know why nobody carries rennet. I guess nobody in my town makes their own cheese. Okay, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. I'm going to pour that in. Okay, watch this. Now after we pour the lemon juice in, we want to mix it around. And already there's curds happening here. Can you see that? It's already separating. We have to let this set for a good 10 minutes. Now, while we're letting it set, I found an article online about USDA had a request to allow artificial sweeteners to go into their milk. Now, why would we want artificial sweeteners in our milk? They say it's to get more children to drink the milk. Really? More children to drink the milk. Okay. Right now, even I don't like the taste of milk coming from schoolyards. It's just nasty stuff. Okay, we're going to let that cool for 10 minutes. Now, I had to go downtown because I needed flour sack towels. When you drain your cheese, you want to use flour sack towels because they are a tighter weave than cheesecloth. Sure, you can have cheesecloth if that's all you have, but you're going to find with the loose weave in the cheesecloth, some of your curd will fall through. But flour sack towel is a tighter weave, but the whey can still pass through. Now, I watered this down with cold water so that the whey can pass through faster. So when this sets after 10 minutes, we'll come back and we'll get it set up with our flour sack towel and hang it. Anyway, let's go over here. This is what we have so far for our sausage. Nice. This is going to be more of a lean sausage because right now there's just mostly fat coming through there. But it'll be more lean because of all of the meat, which is okay. You know, if you can get a 30-70, 30% fat to 70% meat, you still have great sausage. So while he's doing that, I'm going to cut this one up and see what we got. I'm using a fillet knife because my kitchen knives aren't that sharp anymore. But this fillet knife is awesome. Now this thing, it has this piece of skin. So I'm just separating the meat from the skin. And I'm trying to get some of this fat along with it so that we have more fat in the final mix. And I'm just basically kind of haphazardly chopping it up. Do I need to put those in smaller pieces? Okay, smaller pieces. Yep, some of these are pretty big pieces. Won't quite fit. Usually want to chop it up into like 1 by 1 or 2 by 2. Now I've been changing out a lot of my electrical items for hand crank, not just to save on electricity, but when push comes to shove and I end up out on the off-grid, I will need more of the hand crank to do my daily chores and things rather than machine, because I still need electricity for Angry Old Timer CPAP machine and hopefully a refrigerator, but we will see with that. But for the most part, everything else is getting switched out. And yes, this is more work, but I get a lot more pride in providing my family with as much healthy and nutritious foods as I possibly can. Some members don't like everything I make, which is fine. But when, you know, when things start happening, we're all going to be thankful that it's in the pantry. Now, I do need to get a bunch of hot dogs and can up some hot dogs because my family enjoys the hot dogs. I don't enjoy hot dogs because they upset my stomach. But if that's what my family will eat, yeah, I'm going to get me some wide mouth quart jars and a bunch of hot dogs on sale from like Dollar Tree or the grocery store. And I'll can those hot dogs up so they can have their hot dogs and chili or what, you know. Even if they're cooked through canning, you can still stick a knife in or a stick in it and put it over the open fire, and they'll taste just like barbecued hot dogs. So I'm trying to gather foods that they will eat rather than just what I feel is best for them. Because no matter how much we scream at our children not eating vegetables, if they're not going to eat it, they're just not going to eat it no matter what you do. Is that getting stuck?
No, the table.
Oh. Yeah, I changed out my table if everybody notices, and this thing is wobbly. Hold on. There. That's a little better. Anyway, as I was saying, I've got to get more stock up done. And with this artificial sweeteners in milk, it's basically aspartame. If you do your research on it, that's exactly what is being requested from USDA that they approve. Approving aspartame in our store-bought milk. Well, that just, you know, if you're trying to make cheese out of the store-bought milk, it's not going to come out very well because of the chemicals. So I need to start looking for ways to get alternative raw milk if I can in order to make our own cheese, because cheese is getting so costly. And my family, we got to have our cheese on our homemade burritos, on our chili dogs. I use cream cheese in some of my sauces, my cream sauces, because I like the flavor of the cream cheese. Like my fettuccine Alfredo, I'll put a little cream cheese in it, sometimes sour cream. And the sauce comes out creamier with a lot more flavor. And I think it might have been 10 minutes already. So, wash my hands. Okay. It's been about 10 minutes. Look at that. You can see the curd coming away from the whey. And this thinner stuff here is the whey. And it's producing some nice curds. And the more it cools down, the more that'll separate. It's going to be really, really good. And that's just all the curd that you see right there. And I did have to add at least another 2 tablespoons. So for a gallon of milk, it's about 4 tablespoons that you want to put in. 4 tablespoons of lemon juice that you want to put in so that it coagulates and clumps up like that. Anyway, we're going to rinse our sink out. Okay, now we want, and yes, I washed the sink, duh, not that dumb. Anyway, okay, we're going to put this, if I had 2 hands, I'd be happy. Now this piece that I picked up at my local store, it's 3 feet by 3 feet. Now, what I'm doing is grab it. I'm kind of ladling this curd out in the bowl. I could just pour this out. Just like that. But I didn't want all of this curd to splash out of the bowl into the sink. I want to save as much as possible. Okay, now I'm going to put this camera down again. And we're going to pour it, but slowly. We have the bigger clumps out. So, hold on one jiffy. And yeah, it's still warm, but it'll cool down here in a few. Another tip when you're making cheese, make sure you have everything clean, and use either stainless steel, some kind of old crockery, or enamel when you're cooking anything like cheeses or a lot of your homemade stuff. With this, because it's got lemon juice in it, it could react against any kind of aluminum pottery. So you don't want aluminum, you want stainless steel. And my strainer is also stainless steel. So, we're going to put that there. I need to go get me a string. Okay, we've got a piece of string, and it's quite long, as you can see. Now, we're going to take this, and it's all going to be in here. We're going to kind of do a slip knot. Open this up, put our string through, have it come right like that. And then we have our pot here, and we are going to string this up. I've got a nail up here. Okay. Tie a knot in this other end, like so. We're going to open this up like this. Put that part over our nail. There. Now, if you can see, there's whey dripping from that. And that will sit there for a good couple hours And while it's sitting there, it'll drain all that way out and make more of a solid piece of a cheese ball. So, and just leave that right there for the next couple hours, and maybe at showtime I'll take it down and see what the results are.
Now, I'm
so far, so good.
I'm going to say something on this meat grinder. There's a lot of back grind. She put it in chunks, but you might want to think about putting your meat in strips so that the grinder, the corkscrew in here, can grab a hold of it. And I'll show you what I mean by back grind, and know what other word to say. I've got my meat here, but it comes out with a consistency that it comes out the back side, not the front side. So with the strips, it would be more likely to grab it and grind it through.
So do you have to re-put that through?
It won't go. Well, because of the fat content, it's too slippery.
I think we're going to need to put some of it back through.
And that's the other thing about pork. There's a high fat content no matter what you do. Pigs are supposed to be fat.
Yeah.
And it's making the thing slippery, and it's not really working the way it's... Hamburger would work better.
Hamburger, yeah, usually it does work better. Don't we have a larger
no.
thing?
No. All it came with were sausage stuffers. You have to buy the extras. You think they're going to give you everything all in the same shot? No.
The plate where the meat comes through the holes?
No, we don't have that. It's not like your flour grinder. It didn't come with everything. It's an extra part. So if you want the bigger holes, you're going to have to pay for it.
I see. Okay. Well, one of these years I'm going to get
a
larger hole grinder plate and sausage stuffers, so we can make our own sausage links. Ooh, that ought to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and see about cutting the rest of this up. And I want some of this fat because there is so much meat, even if the meat is more on the fatty side. Now this piece of fat that I'm cutting away from the skin, this would be perfect for rendering for lard, which once we get to our new location, I will search out some farms that sell their pigs. Sell raw milk. So, because I don't even like the fact, you know who made aspartame, okay? I don't like the fact of having it in my milk and drinking it. And the thing is, they're saying that so that they can put that aspartame in under the guise of milk. So they're not planning on putting it on the milk label itself. Anything that you eat or drink that has milk in it, it's just going to be labeled milk. It's not going to be labeled with aspartame.
Aspartame. Brought to you proudly by the company that introduced us to Roundup and saccharin, otherwise known as Monsanto.
So keep an eye on what the USDA is doing. Keep an eye on how your food is being labeled. Connecticut, they are one of the first states that will require food labeling. Whoops, cut into a little much. which is a good thing. Now, if the rest of the states can also do that, maybe some of these food companies will start seeing that people aren't going to buy their product because they're not putting labels on things.
Mr. David Reed put it best. You want to stop them? Hit them in their pocketbook.
Yep. And see, we wonder why we have cancers. We wonder why we're having strokes at early ages, heart attacks at early ages.
Like me.
Children are coming up with diabetes at 5 years old. Really?
Obesity to the point of morbidity.
People, rapid people are just fat. No pun intended, no insult intended.
All they're doing is eating the food.
Yeah, that's all we're doing is we're eating the food. But how can we, and then being on food stamps, how can you afford the organic food? How can you afford just the staples of meat and milk and bread? It's not easy.
Hey, stop stealing my rant.
But I live on food stamps. Not proud of it, but I do it. And I have cut out a lot of this prepared stuff. I've cut out a lot of prepackaged meals. I make my own seasonings, which I will have a show maybe in 2 weeks' time on a lot of seasoning mixes. Chili mix, taco seasoning mix,
Italian seasoning mix, sausage
mix.
Mm-hmm.
All those mixes that you buy at the store, gravy mix, they all have soy, they all have way too much salt and way too much sugar.
And you may have noticed something about us. While we're doing all this preparedness stuff, between us we've lost about 100 pounds living like this.
I've lost over 100 pounds myself. Just myself.
We've both gone into sizes of pants that we haven't been in since before we met.
Size 10, guys.
Yeah. Not for sale.
Anyway.
Mine's out of the gutter, even though it's nice.
Right, shush. Anyway, yeah, I've cut all that stuff out. I don't eat fast food.
We don't eat fast food very much.
I can't handle the processed meats anymore.
Unless we process it.
The other night, I went to my local store and I bought a whole case of Nally's chili. Okay? Of the smaller cans, but a whole case of Nally's chili. 69 cents per can. Now that's not bad for Nally's chili.
But both 23 and I had a meal of that stuff that night, and it didn't sit right. We're too used to the more natural way of doing things and eating.
So, even the Nally's chili, which is Angry Old Timer's favorite brand, he won't eat any other brand. I came home and I made a pot of chili beans with ham and ham hock in it. And it was great.
A little too spicy for me, but it was good stuff.
Yeah, it was way too spicy for him because I put just a tad too much cayenne pepper in it. But you know what cayenne pepper does, it helps you with your blood.
Yeah, if you can get it past the flame stage.
Yeah, right. So, I canned up, I made a huge pot, and we had cornbread with it. After the dinner, I had so much left over, I just went ahead and canned it, and I got 6 quarts of chili. Plus, I still have that flat of Nally's. Well, the Nally's will stay down there and will stay in storage. We'll probably eat the canned stuff before we eat the Nallies. And I've been getting sales on canned goods in the middle of the month. It's harder for us food stamp recipients to put our food stamps aside for the middle of the month sales, because it seems the grocery stores have gotten it down to where they'll put on a short or a small sale during food stamp recipient time, but they're huger sales, they're deeper cut sales, deeper discounts. They wait until the third week of the month and sometimes the fourth week of the month. Well, I got smart, and for the past couple months I've saved at least a quarter of my food stamps, and I went and I got stocked up on a lot of those canned goods. No, I don't like canned goods, but if push comes to shove and I run out and it's still too early for harvest, I've got canned goods. If I have to go somewhere real quick, I've got canned goods to take with, because yes, canning jars will break if you knock them around too much. That's sharp.
Something dull.
Here. Dull, 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 dull. So, we're going to take a break here, and we're going to come right back in a few minutes. Okay. Got all the meat cut up. It's over there. He's cleaning out the
grinding plate.
grinding plate. Thank you.
You get with pork, it seems the fat that's laced through the meat gets stringy when you're trying to cut it up like this, and it clogs the plate. You're going to have to stop every once in a while to pull it out. Time consuming, but worth it.
So, I could spend hours and hours online looking for a basic sausage seasoning recipe. But I have, see if you can see that, Basic Butchering of Livestock and Game. And on page 142, it gives you a few recipes for making sausage. Now, this is a recipe for a good 50 pounds, but I don't have 50 pounds of sausage. I've got maybe 15 to 16 pounds. So, I'm using this lower one. And all you need is salt, sage, pepper, nutmeg, or cloves, and sugar. Well, and the recipe that it is given in the book is for 2 pounds. So because I have 16 pounds, I had to recalculate. So for my 16 pounds, I am putting in 6 tablespoons of salt, 1, 2, 3, I don't care if I have a little more, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of salt. We want 5 tablespoons of sage.
A note about the salt. Those of you who are
Whoa. I don't have that much sage.
Those of you who are heart patients, you might want to reduce the amount of salt you take in. So that one is subject to your needs or restrictions.
Savory sage. Do I have any more sage? Coriander. Thyme. Basil, marjoram. Celery. What is this? Oregano. Chili powder. I'm out of sage! Crap!
What she's trying to say is to be continued.
No.
No?
Paprika, Italian seasoning. Crap, crap! Wouldn't you know it?
Oh, shucks. The one thing we forgot to buy.
Yeah. Chives, fajita, rosemary, black pepper,
And watch. It's going to be the one spice we're out of.
caraway. There we go. Yep, I am out of sage.
Have everything else.
But that's okay. That's okay. I'll just buy more sage, and after I thaw this out, I'll just make sure I add a little bit more sage to it. But no big deal. Anyway, on with the recipe. We need 2.5 tablespoons of black pepper. We'll have the basic ingredients in here. You don't have to have your sage put into it before you mix it up, put it in the freezer. I could freeze that the way it is and then mix up my seasonings when it thaws out. 2.5. And then 1 tablespoon of nutmeg. Oops, one more than what I wanted. Okay. And 1 tablespoon of sugar. So that's our seasonings. Just when you need it, you tend to run out. I'm going to have to go to my grocery store and get me lots of sage.
Go to Dollar Tree, clean them out of the spices. They'll always have more.
They never have sage. They have garlic powder, onion, diced onion, cinnamon, salt and pepper. It's usually all Dollar Tree carries. Well, my local Dollar Tree. Okay, we got that mixed up. Now, we are going to turn this over here. That's our sausage mix. I'm going to put it inside of our sausage. Now, since this is only half full, I'm just going to put half of it in here. And then we just mix it up. Your hands are the best thing to mix it with. Make sure it's all mixed up in there.
This is time consuming but eminently satisfying. You know exactly what's going in it. There are no questions. Well, a few. You don't know what Monsanto slipped in when we weren't looking. But for the most part, you control what goes in.
Yep. Put your own seasonings and spices. And the nicest thing about this is it is homemade. But the other nice thing is it doesn't have all those chemicals that you find in Jimmy Dean sausage. This does not have monosodium glutamate.
Nope, porks and spices. The end.
And I only put in a tablespoon of sugar for 16 pounds of meat. All the sugar is to help help it keep. But the point is, you've got from the grocery store, you've got sugar, you've got corn syrup, you've got fructose syrup in your meat. You know, why have all that sugar in our meats? You know, why not? Sure, it's more work. Big deal. If you want to eat, if you want to lose weight, start making it. You get the exercise. Now, I'm not downing heavyweight people. Believe me, I was there. I was overweight and I hated it. But what got me up was understanding where my allergies were coming from And just gradually, I didn't change overnight. I gradually started doing things for myself. I gradually started taking some stuff out and putting others in, you know, and that's what we should be doing, you know. You can't.
My own pizza. Can you imagine some poor soul starving to death, walking through the woods, and starts smelling pizza after it's HTF? There aren't any more pizzerias. Comes around the corner, and here we are fire baking our pizza. We haven't changed our diet, not really. A few modifications, but I still get my favorite foods. So does everybody else.
Oh gosh. And he used to buy pizzas like it was going out of style.
Hot Pockets, every variation you can think of. Junk food.
He was a hound when it came to his junk food. And he was so overweight, which is why he had a heart attack, what, 5 years ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago?
I was 42, and I beat my father by a good 15 years.
But since him and I got back together, he's been eating more of this stuff. And he has lost a lot of weight in those 3 years. Well, we've been back for 2 years now.
In that 2 years, I've gone from a size 44 to it looks like maybe a 36 by next month. Men's.
So he's going to continue grinding up the pork.
After I go indulge in my one remaining bad habit.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and pour the rest of this sausage fixins onto this bowl and just leave it. So we have that, and our cheese is still draining. Pretty soon it won't drip anymore. And once that happens, then we will come back and see what it's like. Okay, we'll be back in a bit.
Okay, those of you who know me know that I'm the angry old timer, and you know why. Well, let's give you another reason why. I bought this PlayStation 2 to give myself something to do other than play on the computer, which was getting old after 14 years. Well, I bought it from a store which shall remain nameless, but the store stunk, the employees stunk, and this is what I get from buying it from the lowest bidder. The analog stick on the right, after playing a game called Medal of Honor European Assault for less than 7 hours, it shattered. The post here is supposed to sit on top of that. Well, we're always talking about thinking outside the box. And you can see there's a hole there. And I was thinking, why can't I use this until I have the money to replace it with a real PlayStation? You can see there's no logo there. With a real PlayStation controller. Now I know this isn't prepping, but it's keeping me occupied. But look, made in China. Piece of junk. The store sold me a piece of junk, but I'm going to make it work for the next month until I have the money to replace it. Now, this is called thinking outside the box. We have a tack. Basically, all the controller has to do is move and be able to push it down. One of the controls entails pushing it down. Well, you stick the tack in there. Looks a little funky. Doesn't exactly sit in the hole. But guess what? It rotates through 360. All the axes are just fine. And because it's a tack, you can actually push it. You can hear it clicking. Now, I should be able to play this game for the next month. And that was the only thing that was wrong with it. Otherwise, the machine works. But this is what I get angry about. They sell me a piece of junk, and I wouldn't be able to take it back because he would claim that I broke it. Well, like I said, it was made in China. What do you expect? So, Angry Old Timers Rant. Now back to your regular show. Game.
Okay, we're unwrapping. I let this drain for a good 3 or 4 hours. No more drips, no nothing. Get a close-up if you can. And that is our cheese. See that? Not bad. So we're going to put it in here. And we didn't lose any of the curd because of the cloth that we made. And this cloth, all I have to do is put it in a sink with a small amount of bleach and launder it. Simple. Okay. First of all, I need a spoon and a little bit of salt. And for this amount, I guess if a person really wanted to, they could break this up and mix in some half and half or whole cream, and you have cottage cheese. It'll be small curd cottage cheese, but there it is. But we need to put about 1.5 teaspoons or so of salt, which will help preserve it.
I hate it when she does that.
Does what? Oh, there goes my frickin'...
Pours the thing into her hand and says 1.5 teaspoons. How about using a teaspoon?
Pause it a sec. What does that look for?
I'm recording.
I know you are.
Okay.
Okay. I'm mixing in the salt throughout the cheese. Just like this. And you see it kind of clumping up, which is okay. Okay, we want to make this more of a cream cheese. And because I don't have a blender, we're going to use our good old whisk. Okay, this is half and half, and I'm just putting in a little bit of half and half to make it more of a creamy consistency. And I'm making a big mess.
Now, are you making cream cheese or cottage cheese?
I am making cream cheese.
Okay. Just to make sure our listeners out there and viewers understand.
This is cream cheese. And if I had my recipe for bagels, I'd be making homemade bagels. But, okay, I'm going to whisk this around so it's more of a cream. And it's, you do it by the eye as to how much cream. Some people like their cheeses drier. I like mine creamy. And yes, an electric blender would make this easier.
Want to be a prepper?
I don't want to hear it.
Sometimes, man, the geniuses of electricity come in.
Yes.
When there's no electricity, it'll be a moot point.
Well,
Why not use it when you have it, man?
Because you need to get used to it. That's a common question. 23 brings up a really good issue. Why not use it while you still have it? Wouldn't it be easier and less shocking if you were used to doing things this way?
Not when I spent 3 seasons out in the Nevada desert without it, no.
Well,
The issue will be decided when SHTF.
I have been changing out my electrical things for hand crank, mainly because the electricity is getting so frickin' expensive, I can't afford it. Let's see. Yeah, this should do. Okay. So now we have that. We're going to put it in this glass bowl. I really don't want to put this in a plastic bowl. I could, but tomorrow, just before my show comes on, well, actually you're seeing this tomorrow. Well, anyway, I'm taping this Thursday because this took too long. Friday, I will make a cheesecake, homemade cheesecake, out of this cream cheese.
The woman just bought my heart again.
Yeah, you like my homemade cream cheese, or cheesecakes. This one will have the homemade graham cracker crust, because the crust that you buy at the store has soy.
There isn't much you can buy anymore that doesn't have soy.
Graham cracker crust is so easy to make. Just go get some graham crackers, mash them up, or even get a box of graham cracker crumbs.
But even those have soy
Yes, even though
when you buy them from the store.
But guess what? Mom found a recipe to make my own graham crackers.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to make our own graham crackers, saltine crackers, and we will do a show on that.
Is anybody starting to get the larger idea here? Mom and I talked about it during the break, during our own little break, and the idea is not to have to rely on anything that comes from the store eventually.
Yep.
And my plan, personally, is to make a pizza with nothing bought from the store. Not a thing.
Well, as soon as we get our property, Mom will start making her homemade pizzas out on a campfire.
She means Angry Old Timer makes his pizza.
Well, who taught him? Juan.
Potato, tomato.
No, it's potato.
I said it right.
No, you didn't. Argue. Okay,
English master versus the master of damn near everything else.
now, guinea pig, taste it.
If I don't come back, you'll know what happened. And I survived. We're fine. It's a little bland, though.
It is a little bland, but that's why you need to let it set for a few days to let the salt go through. And once that salt goes through, it'll be perfect. And that is our cream cheese that we will use for cheesecake. And during the show, I will show you that cheesecake baked.
Ooh, everybody gets a treat tomorrow.
Except I can't send it through the wire to give anybody a piece.
That's what we used our imaginations for back in the day. We get to do this. We get to benefit from it. But if you do the same thing, so can you. Anything else, Mom?
Nope, that's it for the video. Now we're going to move on with the rest of the show.
And remember, for safety's sake, always do what she's doing right now. Clean up.
Clean up after yourself. Wash your dishes.
It will
And yes,
save your life.
with all that meat, I sanitized.
Okay, so that's not 100% natural. It works.
When it comes to meat, I'm going to use that because I am totally out of bleach right now. But Okay, you can pause that. We're going to go live.